people who couldn't come. If it's okay,
Oh.
Lisa.
Leave meeting.
And then in the
Okay.
meantime, I'll figure out how Justin can
Oh, there
Zoom.
he is.
There he is.
He's here, and Brian,
Oh, good.
welcome.
Hi, Justin. Hisashiburi. Long time no see.
You're muted, Justin.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm going to change screen so now we can see each other eye to eye.
Yeah. And Lisa-san, Brian Yamamoto, he's our professor at Kauai Community College, and his daughter is currently doing the JET.
Oh, really? Who is your daughter?
Allison.
Oh, she just left.
Yes, she's in Toyama.
How's she doing?
Very good.
Oh, poor thing, she had to wait 2 years to go.
She did.
Oh, she's doing good. She likes it there.
She likes it there. It's getting cold.
Yes. Oh, good for her.
Great.
Should we kind of start?
Yes. Thank you, Justin, for joining us. Okay.
Well, should I just start, or are you gonna?
Well, first of all, I would like to welcome Miss Lisa Sakamoto from the Consulate General of Japan in Honolulu. Last year, we had her talk about JET program, and I asked her again this year because I think for community college students, although you have to have a bachelor's degree to be eligible for the JET program, it doesn't hurt to start planning ahead and to even imagine, working abroad. Because for many of our students, leaving the island, leaving Hawaii is hard to imagine, let alone leaving the country to live and work in a foreign country. So I thought it would be great to start planting seeds of possibility, while they're still kind of early stage in their academic career. So thank you so much, Lisa-san, for coming and sharing with us about the JET program.
Okay, thank you, Kyoko-san. As she had mentioned, my name is Lisa Sakamoto. I'm the JET program coordinator here at the Japanese Consulate, or Consulate General of Japan. And we also have Justin Carvalho, who is a JET alumnus, who we'll have him explain his situation on JET and help answer questions later on after the presentation. So I'd like to start with our PowerPoint presentation. Oops. Okay. Okay, so to begin with, this is for the Japan Exchange and Teaching Program. This is just an overview, and this is the information that was given to the JET, potential applicants this past year. So that's why we have all these numbers on here. Okay, well, let's begin by talking a little bit about the background of the JET program. Oh, and I'd like to take this opportunity to say that I would say like 98% of these photos are taken by JETs who have departed from Hawaii. Okay, so what is the JET program? It's one of the world's largest international exchange programs and which has achieved an excellent reputation worldwide. Its main goal really is to promote mutual understanding between the Japanese students and people from other countries at the local level by fostering ties at the grassroots level. JET began back in 1987 with just 848 participants and 4 countries. Now it's grown to having over 5,700 participants from 57 countries. So over the past 34 years, there are more than 70,000 alumni around the world, and more than half, so about 35,000 are US alumni. Currently, there are about 3,000 JETs from the US alone. So the JET program, it's a full-time job. It's not a study abroad or like a volunteer program, and it really provides you the opportunity to immerse yourself in a foreign culture, allowing you to adapt to be able to adapt to different situations. And it really is a once in a lifetime opportunity to help you grow outside your comfort zone. And it does get difficult at times, but it'll definitely be a life-changing experience. And it is a 100% online application process. So these are the different governmental ministries that are involved with the JET program. So as you can see, there's the Ministry of Internal Affairs, Foreign Affairs, and Education. CLAIR is the Council for Local Authorities for International Relations. And they're like the managing organization of the program. So together we work with the host prefectures, and under the prefectures are the contracting organizations. It could be like a specific town, Board of Education, or school, and they're the ones that pay the salaries of the JETs. And as it says here, JETs, the initial term is for 1 year. Okay, there are two main types of positions on the JET program. There's the Assistant Language Teacher, or ALT, and the other one is the Coordinator for International Relations, or CIRs. We're going to talk first about the ALTs. So your role as an ALT, you'll be working with the JTEs, or the Japanese Teachers of English. So you're not there necessarily every day at one school. So your job is really to motivate students and get them interested in learning about a different language or culture. So you would assist the JTE, you work together in planning lessons, for creating like lesson plans, preparing worksheets or games, possibly at the junior or senior high school levels, excuse me. Or there's even English conversation classes for elementary school students. And you could be also asked to advise English clubs if they have that, or after school clubs. And if there are speech contests in your area, you could be asked to be a judge, or even coaching one of your students who may be participating in this contest. Sometimes JETs also plan foreign language camps where the students would stay overnight, and they're expected to only speak in English. Also, JETs, depending on your relationship with the JTE, sometimes they want you to do take over the whole class, or sometimes you should be more working together with the JTE with the lessons. So outside of the classroom is a really good way to get to know your students, because a lot of times in class they're a little quiet, on the quiet side, and don't want to make mistakes, so they don't say much. But if you get to know them outside of class, you try to bring that out and the friendship out. So then you can participate in field trips with the students, like they go overnight to certain places. You can plan holiday themed parties, like show that's part of the culture that you're sharing with them, like American culture, Halloween, Christmas, things like that. You could do extracurricular activities like cooking, maybe like for example, or like spam musubi or something, showing them Hawaiian culture, or even like hula if you have that ability. There's also after school clubs and activities that you can participate in. So then aside from the normal baseball, basketball, or like arts or music, there are traditional Japanese sport clubs that you could join. Like this one is archery. They have like judo, kendo, things like that you can join as well. And then they have even what they call sports festivals, which are held on Saturdays, where the different classes compete against each other. Okay, the other position that's available is the Coordinator for International Relations. Only about 10% of JETs are CIRs, because you'd be working in a government office. And the main difference between the ALTs rather, is that CIRs must have a strong command of Japanese language. They require or suggest that you have the JLPT, which is a Japanese language proficiency test, level 1 or 2, since you'd be working in a government office. So as a CIR, because of your language ability, they'll be asking you to translate or interpret. So like in this photo here, looks like she's interpreting for an event. Oftentimes, CIRs are asked to write or edit brochures or newsletters, especially for other foreigners living in the area who may not understand Japanese. But to show them what is available to them in that town. Oftentimes CIRs are involved with planning or assisting with cultural events or festivals in the area, or even giving presentations in Japanese about something about Hawaii or the United States, giving a talk. And a lot of times you'll be translating for foreign visitors that were visiting the town or prefecture, promoting US sister city or sister state relationships. So for example, Hawaii has a sister state relationships with like Fukuoka prefecture, Ehime, or Okinawa. So when the legislators go there, oftentimes the CIR is there to help translate for them. So this is just to give you a general idea on the numbers. Well, 2021 was exceptionally different because of COVID. The numbers were really low. Normally we have maybe about 100 completed applications, and then we interview 40 to 50 people. And normally about 20 to 30 people are selected. But just this past year, because of COVID, the numbers were much lower. But it's just to give you an idea. So generally speaking, once your application selected, you have maybe a 50% chance of being interviewed and another 50% chance of being selected. So now the workplace information. So again, you're employed by your contracting organization. It could be, again, the prefecture, particular city, a school or board of education or town. And you are considered a civil servant or teacher. And the initial contract, again, is for 1 year, and you have a possibility to renew and stay a total of 5 years in Japan. So generally speaking, the work hours about 35 hours a week. About school starts about 8:30 to about 4:30, 5 o'clock. So again, if you're helping or participating in the club activities, you of course run much later, but that's kind of like on a volunteer basis. Monday through Friday. But like I had mentioned about the sports day, if there's events on the weekend, it is highly recommended that you participate to show support of your school and your students. So yeah, so sometimes once in a great while, there's maybe a Saturday event. Then you get at least 10 days of paid vacation in addition to the 15 national holidays each year. So your salary for your first year, everyone gets 3.36 million yen. And then as you can see, it increases the longer you stay. So in other words, they want JETs to stay more than 1 year if possible. If generally, if it's about 110, I don't know, it depends on the yen exchange rate, but if it's about 110 yen to the dollar, the first year you get about $30,500. Second year, 32,700, and third year is 35,000. And by the fourth or fifth year, you get about $36,000. So if you fulfill your 1 year contract, at least your 1 year contract, your airfare to and from Japan will be taken care of. And also they have you, you must enroll in this national health insurance. And they also have other types of insurance for JETs. So placement, there are 47 prefectures and 17 designated cities throughout Japan where the JETs are living. On the application, you can write down up to 3 choices, but there's really no guarantee that you'll get any one of your choices. And we do tell people that the possibility of getting like the larger cities like Tokyo, Osaka, Kyoto, pretty much slim to none. So we highly recommend that you do research on different areas in Japan that you might be interested in living. For example, if you're interested in skiing or doing something outside your work hours, you might want to look up where would be a good place to do such things, or taking up like pottery or something, and you can find the areas that are specializing in those things. Okay. So your living conditions, there are more than 5,700 JETs. Everyone's situation is different. So we always say that's kind of like a mantra for JET. Every situation is different. So there's 2 general type of locations. Urban, the positive side, I guess, is that you meet a lot of people who are used to seeing foreigners. There may be more JETs nearby, a lot of public transportation, and access to language schools, shopping or recreation. But There are cons to that, like a lot of people, traffic, the cost of living is higher, and the jets that have gone to, like, for example, Tokyo, their apartments are a lot smaller and older as compared to people living in the rural areas. There's a number of jets I've known who had a whole house to themselves, but they may be in like a middle of a rice field or something. So you do get more larger living quarters. You can easy to save money, not much places to spend it really, unless you travel. You can experience traditional Japan. Your neighbors will all know who the foreigner in the town is, so they'll kind of keep an eye out for you, which could be good or bad. If you're in a farming area, that's really good because a lot of times if you make friends with your neighbors, they give you vegetables, rice, and things for free. So it can help on your cost of living there. And there may not be any other English speakers, so you'll be able to practice your Japanese and improve. So while in the JET program, there's a lot of support that you can receive. They now offer these grants for you to improve. For example, if you want to get your teaching English as a second language certificate, you can take this course and get a certificate. There's also, if you are interested in taking that JLPT test for the upper levels, you can apply for a grant. It costs about $100 to take the exam. So they offer this for JETs as well as language courses. Claire, which is a managing organization, they provide these language courses you study on your own. There's these different levels, as you can see. You study on your own, you take the exams, and when you pass each level, you can get a certificate of completion. There's also this association of JET, Japan Exchange, it's AJET. So it's the volunteer JET participants. So they provide professional development. There's chances to get together and meet other JETs from different areas. They also provide counseling service. They have an online magazine as well as special interest groups that if you're interested in joining. And again, a way of meeting other JETs throughout the country. Once you're finished with JET, there's a JET Alumni Association, and the Hawaii chapter is pretty involved, and you can get involved as well. It's a really good way to network. There's people from all different backgrounds. And also with the council, we work with alumni to help, they help us by volunteering for different events. And there's other opportunities to help mentor JETs that are going up as well. So after JET, like I mentioned, there's a JETs in a variety of fields, from teaching all the way to like attorneys. We have doctors. We have a lot of people are teachers or professors. We had people in the State Department, especially of course in Hawaii tourism. So like these two JETs, she's gone back to med school, so she's getting her degree. She has her ESL or SLS degree, and she is now back in Japan again, teaching at a university in Japan. So the application process, we can kind of go over it quickly here. Eligibility, to apply through the consulate here, you need to be a US citizen. If you have a dual citizenship with Japan, you need to renounce your citizenship before going. You need to get your bachelor's degree before the departure. Be mentally and physically healthy, and not have lived in Japan for the last 6 years or participated in Japan since maybe 2-3 years ago, or not have declined the position. And of course, must have excellent writing and English skills. And be interested, of course, in Japan and its culture. And for CIRs, the Japanese language skills is a must. So excuse me, these are the types of attributes that the application reviewers as well as the interviewers are looking for in a good JET. So mainly, it's somebody who's adaptable, being able to live and adapt to a different culture, being patient, having flexibility, creative initiative. That's more like with the lesson planning, and being interested in cross-cultural exchange, and again, interested in the country and its culture, Japan and its culture. These are not required, but can really help your application. So if you have some Japanese language classes or skills that you've taken, you can write that out on your application. If you have a TESOL or TEFL certificate, that really helps. Again, it's not required. If you have some teaching experience, it may not necessarily be in a formal classroom teaching situation, but if you have, like, for example, aside from like a TA, but mentoring or even coaching, like, yeah, in sports or in any kind of like Boy Scouts or something like that, that all helps as informal teaching situation. So if you've also traveled abroad or have joined like a culture club, like a Japanese club, for example, that all helps. And volunteering also shows that you are willing to give back to the community. So for your application, these are all the documents that are required. Your online application, a self-report medical form, which you would write down any medical issues that you may have that they need to be aware of. Your essay, 2 letters of recommendation. If you're presently in school, one of them needs to be from a professor or someone related to the university. Transcripts, proof of graduation or expected date of graduation. Proof of US citizenship is a copy of your birth certificate or passport. And if you have a more serious medical issue, then you would need a physician's form. And they also have early departures for people. They sometimes have some positions available like in April. So then they would need these additional documents that needs to be submitted with your application. So we're seeing that there's a lot of information that you need to read through. So you need to take time to go through the application. You need to scan all those additional documents and upload it on the portal for the application. So whoever's reviewing your application gives points for each question. So we always recommend that you try to list all your experiences on the form. So in other words, try to fill in all the blanks. And the most important part of your whole application is your essay. It's a 2-page double-space typewritten document that you need to, how should I say? That's where you need to sell yourself and convince the reviewer that you are good for the JET program. Like why JET? Why do you want it? On your motivation for applying, what you have to offer, as well as how JET will help you and maybe affect your future plans. So, and we highly recommend you proofread. A lot of times the reviewers find grammatical errors. So we recommend maybe if you have a writing center on campus or someone who can read it for you, we highly recommend that you do so. And again, uploading your documents and submitting them well before the deadline. Yeah, and then on the online application, they have a specific JET, what's called JET inbox at the end. So you can always ask your questions there if you have any questions. And someone, the JET program coordinator, most likely at the embassy, will answer the questions for you. So this is the general timeline. Usually the application is out about mid-September, then it's due about mid-November each year. Then we're notified about middle January, early to mid-January, who is eligible for interviews. So for us, this coming year, we're having our interviews the first week of February. Then in April, you find out whether you've been accepted, and then you get your placement. In the middle of summer, you get these orientations to help you prepare for your stay in Japan, and you have different activities through the JET Alumni Association. And the group, in this coming group, leaves at the end of July. So that's about it. So if you want, I don't think the application's up anymore because the deadline was last Friday, but you can go to the website and read through, again, what is required and what other information you need. So you can check that out. And then if you have any questions, you can either call me or email me at this number and email address. Okay, I am done.
Thank you,
So-
Lisa.
Thank you. I don't know if I went too fast, sorry.
That was all
But,
good.
I don't know if Justin, you wanted to like briefly go over your situation, like what kind of schools you taught at and how often you went.
Yeah, Justin, please introduce yourself first and then, yeah, share with us about your jet experience.
Hello, I'm Justin Carvalho. I'm from Kauai. Um, I was on Jet from 2003 to 2006, and I was kind of a special situation at the time. For the record, when I was on Jet, Jet was only 3 years total. Now it's 5 years. So after they kicked me out, they made it 5 years. So they're safe. They do 2 extra years. Anyways, so my special situation was I was in Ibaraki, that's 1 hour north of Tokyo, and I was there for 2 years. And I was in a town called Koga, and we had 3 middle schools and we had 3 ALTs. So we would go to each school 1 trimester a year. So we would go to 3 schools in 1 year. And there was 10 elementary schools. So we would go to the 10 elementary schools about once a week. We would rotate through. At the end of my second year of JET, the JET program was canceled in that town. So I was going to need to move. And I was in a good place in Ibaraki. To move anywhere else would have been off of every single train line basically, and would have been very inconvenient. So I did something crazy and I moved to Fukuoka. So I went from middle Japan all the way down south to Kyushu. And they put me in such a small town that the small town people next to me used to laugh at the small town that I lived in. That was in Kurogimachi. On the border of Fukuoka and Kumamoto. So it was a great experience. As Lisa had hinted to, the living situations are very different. Some people have a hole in the wall. Some people have a huge house to themselves. My friend lived in a house that was torn down as soon as he moved out of it in Akita, and he literally would put surf magazines, he would glue them to the wall to seal the holes in the wall, and there's snow outside. But yeah, the situations are different. Obviously, now Japan is a lot different than it was when I was there. The English support is a lot better, I noticed, because I go to Japan about once a year on average pre-COVID. But the JET program is an amazing opportunity. What I tell people is to be in Japan, the work is good, but you also need to have a purpose because you will have a lot of free time as well. And you want to capitalize on that free time. Like for me, that was probably the most free time I ever had in my life. I was in community college at Kauai Community College. And then I graduated from UH Manoa. And then I taught for half a year in Pearl City. And then I moved to Japan, like literally 30 days after finishing teaching here in Oahu. And I was in Japan for 3 years. So my personal goal in Japan was to not really hang out with any foreigners as much as possible, was to improve my Japanese. I had some Japanese background, and going to Japan, I thought my Japanese was strong, and I quickly learned that I didn't know, I knew a lot less than I thought I did. So you quickly get humbled, but the friends that I've made in Japan, I still carry on to now. And it's my second family and my multiple families that I keep in touch with. And now when I go there, I go visit my friends and they tell me, okay, where are you taking the kids this weekend? And they literally send them off with me if they're busy. So it's like really like my family out there. So super fun, super exciting. Definitely put in your application if you don't get it. I know a lot of people Uh, Sometimes it might have taken them 3 years or more to get on the jet. Take your application seriously. And Lisa, folks, thank you for all your years of hard work there. So Lisa, this is her job, but Lisa works above and beyond on everything. So we really appreciate all that they put in. And there's a lot of support, like she's saying, with the JET program. A lot of people volunteer, and then just so many connections to be made, like that, more than you could ever imagine. When I lived in Japan, I traveled to Philippines, Thailand, South Korea, China, Taiwan, and I traveled all through Japan. And somehow I saved more money in my whole life living there. So the pay may seem small or big to you, but there's also a lot of incentives, like the housing supplement they give you is like ridiculous.
Not all the time. Sometimes it is.
But in my situation, the living was super cheap, super ridiculous cheap. And then, they send you home with leftover school lunch and there's all kind of benefits you get. And like, doesn't matter where you go in Japan, like, and you'll learn, like, if you get placed in a place that you think is not ideal, just keep your eyes open and you're gonna see there's so much to be gained by wherever you get placed.
Yeah, like you said, it's what you make of it, right? What you make of the situation, being adaptable.
Absolutely. But happy to answer any questions if anybody wants to ask some questions.
Thank you, Justin. We have 4 students joining us today. So if any of you have any questions to Justin or Lisa, please feel free or take this opportunity to ask your questions. I have a couple questions to you, Justin. Did you, how much Japanese did you know before going to the JET program?
So going on JET, I had taken 3 years in high school, which is basically, hiragana, katakana at that time. And then I took Japanese 101, 102 at Troy Community College. And then I did a summer study abroad, 6 weeks in 2000, 3 years before I went on JET. So my Japanese, I had gone to Japan once before moving there, which is nice. And then just basic self-introductions, what I like, and just basic structure things. So while in Japan, I did pass the JLPT level 3, and I almost passed level 2 with only level 3 kanji. So, but my kanji was poor. Really, it's what are you going to put into it? My conversation is my strongest point. So I'm able to get around and I'm able to communicate with my friends that some of them speak zero English. So,
thank you, Justin. And I have a couple questions to Lisa. So Justin mentioned it was 3 years and then now it's 5 years, but that's the maximum period of time that they can stay as JET.
Yes.
But there's minimum, like can a JET 1 year? Okay.
So your contract is 1 year, and then if your contracting organization asks you each year, if you want to stay another year, then they can ask you to stay as long as 5 years. And even the 5 years, there's a lot of people who find either other jobs and stay in Japan, or if the contracting organization loves them, they'll hire them privately after the 5 years. So there's all different possibilities too.
I see. Thank you, Lisa.
I would say for anybody applying, I know people that have gone for 1 year. I would recommend don't plan to go to Japan for 1 year. Like 1 year, you're barely going through a season. So I would say, like, my recommendation would plan on spending at least 3 years in Japan, and then decide if you want to do a third and continue on. I have friends that went in 2003 and still live in Japan today. And they're American and they're having their children in Japan and living the
Yeah.
Japan life.
Mm.
Lisa,
Yeah, so
remember Grace?
a lot of guys got married to Japanese and stayed.
I'm not married to Japanese anymore too.
Thank you. So we had a question from Makani. Are there any opportunities for undergrads with the JET program? And Lisa responded that to be able to be eligible for JET, you have to have a bachelor's degree. But what I would add is that, we were actually talking about this before the session officially began, but it's really good to have these ideas in your head so you can plan kind of accordingly. I mean, the plan can change, but if you have a JET kind of kind of on your horizon, then you know what other opportunities you can get, right, to lead to that experience or lead to a career outside of Hawaii or a career outside of the United States, a career that connects this country and other countries, right? So if you're interested in going to Japan, Kauai Community College has exchange programs with Japanese universities that are open to our students. So many of the JETs that I know have done student exchange while they're a student. And then when they get their bachelor's degree, they go back to Japan to gain more experience, to really start their career in teaching or really being the bridge between, cultures. So if you're interested, my office is located in the same building as the bookstore. So please come stop by or send me an email. Good question though, Makani. Thank you.
But yeah, that experience, even the study abroad, right, it adds to your application. So while you're in community college, like you said, you can do all these things that will add to your application. Like if you decide to study the language or, teach or tutor kids in the meantime, like during the summer or do summer fun or something, that would all add to your application.
Mhm.
So even now you can start preparing really.
That's right. Yeah. Brian says, do you have any comments? Or Kalahua, as an ESL teacher, do you have any comments or any questions?
I don't have any questions, but it's so funny because I just texted my husband, oh, I'm in the JET program session right now. He goes, oh, Natsukashi, right? And I was like, but I never did it. He goes, yeah, but it was so popular in like the 90s and at that time, that we all knew about it and heard about it, right? But I don't know. I don't have any questions, but I would think that it's a pretty awesome program. When I was teaching in Japan as an older and already an ESL professional, in the college level, we had some. My daughter was 10 and she went to the local elementary school, and they had a JET teacher at the school teaching English, and he looked at her, he was like, wow, your English is really good. She goes, yeah, I'm American from Hawaii. He's like, oh. So that was funny. But I mean, and he was kind of happy and she was happy because at least they could speak to each other in English. So yeah, it's a great opportunity. I think even study abroad, it's so awesome.
Right.
I agree with the earlier statements as well. As you prepare, if JET is something you want to try, and then so prepare for it in a sense, and having the study abroad is important. For my family, my daughter studied in Japan for several years as a study abroad student. And then from there, she decided she wanted to do JET. And so she applied and she got accepted. COVID came and she decided she's going to wait it out. And so she waited until the first opening took place, and she went over this past September, October, and basically went through quarantine and everything that was necessary. But now she's in Toyama and teaching and having a good time.
Thank you, Brian Sensei.
Yeah, this past year was hard for them because they had to go through quarantine.
Yeah, that's right. Makani, you have your hand raised. Is that from earlier or did you have other questions?
That was an accident. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. Rina or Audrey, do you have any questions? Or Malia, do you have any questions or comments? No?
No.
Okay, good. Well, thank you so much, Lisa, for your time. And thank you, Justin. I know you could be doing a million other things, but yeah, thank you so much. And Kalehua, thank you so much for being the behind the scene, make it all possible person for all of us. Thank you. And thank you, Makani. Thank you, Malia. Thank you, Rina. Thank you, Audrey, for joining us. And Brian Sensei, thank you. Just know that we're here to support all of our students' dream. It doesn't have to be a dream yet. It could be like, what if, maybe, you know, all of our dreams start with that one step, right? Yeah, one step that you think, it's kind of scary. I don't know if this is something I want to do, but coming to this session is the first step. Yeah. So congratulations on taking that first step, and know that all of us here, you know, Brian Yamamoto, myself, at Kauai Community College, and each of our UHCC campus has international program coordinator of the office. So please do reach out to them if you're interested in studying abroad. And Justin, you have.
I'll share one more thing, because I think sometimes maybe a lot of the Hawaii people too, we're shy and we get worried about like, oh, that's crazy, I'm gonna go live in a foreign country. But I mean, the support system when you're there is really, really good. There's a lot of layers of support. You have your JET peers that are gonna help you. So the group, your cohort that you go on over with, and then throughout the year, you'll have conferences, I think twice a year still, Lisa?
I think so, yes.
You'll get to meet the people in your region initially, and then you'll meet the people in your prefecture. So you have that foreign level support, and then wherever you work, you'll have a designated supervisor as well. And some of them speak really good English and some of them don't, but it doesn't matter. I know like my supervisor that I had for the first 2 years was Mr. Tochigi, and he's just amazing. Like they just go above and beyond. Like if you are sick or something, it doesn't matter the time or day or whatever or where you are, they would drive wherever to get you and to get you the help and support you need. So don't let like all your fears or worries hold you back from giving it a shot. I definitely appreciate Kyoko's comments. Very inspiring. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. And the fear is real, especially as you get closer to your dream, as you get close to the dream, the fear gets bigger. And you almost feel like, you know what, I'm not going to do it. And then so fear is real, but just acknowledge it. You're scared, but take one step at a time and know that the support will be there. Lisa-san.
You don't want to live with any regrets, so go for it. And you know, having this on your resume, you know, living abroad, working abroad, is really good for whatever job you go into, showing that you're able to adapt and, you know, live and learn about different cultures and working with other people that are different from you. So I think it really adds to your resume, no matter what field you go into.
Good.
But yeah, go for it, because you don't want to live in regret. Like when you're 50 years old, then you go, I should have done shit. It's like too late. So
right.
while you can, just go for it.
Mm-hmm. And know that we're here to support you.
So this session is being recorded, so I will post it to the website as soon as it's done. So if you need, you need to look at the information again or whatever, it'll be there all the time. Link is in the chat.
Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, Lisa
you.
San. Thank you,
Thank
Justin.
you.
Good to see you.
So yeah, if you have any
Aloha.
questions, you can contact Justin or myself.
Okay.
At least I'm in Honolulu now, so
Wait,
So we
sorry.
can call on you then, huh? Okay.
Wait, let me see. I
Oh,
have
wait.
a question from Rina. Thank you, Rina. Is it usually people just graduating that enter the program, or are there people who do it when
Oh.
they've graduated years ago? That's a
Yeah,
good
we have
question.
both. I mean, most of the people are recent graduates because you know why? It's easiest because you don't have any commitments yet. But people, once you start working, it's hard to leave. Well, but we do have people who do that as well, who leave their jobs and or take sabbatical, however it works,
Mhm.
and do JET. And then sometimes their career paths change. They decide they want to be, professional teacher and get their master's or PhD. So you never know what's going to happen. But yeah, a majority, I would say, are recent graduates only because they don't have any commitments.
And would you say, Lisa San, that it's a really good opportunity to start your career?
Yeah, that's true too. It's a good stepping stone,
It's a good stepping
and it's the
stone.
best time. You don't have any, well, you have financial maybe, but you don't have any family, like family to take with you or like, and again,
Right.
job. Once you start working, it's hard to leave,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. All
but
right.
not impossible.
Thank you, Rina, for that question. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you,
Okay.
Lisa San.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you,
Thank you.
Justin.
Bye. Thanks.
Kaliho, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you
Brian.
too.
Thanks, Justin.
Thank you.